To Mr. Manu for the nice words of introduction. Mr. Habib Ahmed, President. Mr. Mahabub, Secretary. My professional colleague, very senior member, Mr. C.A. Mohan. Thank you for the opportunity given to me and for my partner, Sanil, to be with my good old friends and always my it's a pleasure to be amongst the Calicut fraternity, whether in professional seminars or in chambers. The warmth and the affection of this place like Calicut cannot be overemphasized. Thank you for giving me an opportunity again to be amongst all of you. This COVID time uh, is actually an opportunity. It's not a crisis. This is an opportunity. In profession, our firm in our we also have upskilled many of our skill sets, and the post COVID period is not going to be the same as the pre-corona time. So this also has given many of my clients have also tried to improve uh, their financials to understand where there are weaknesses, where there are processes deficiencies, where the leakages of revenue are happening. So they use all this time or the knowledge or the time that they have to be better after this COVID, then Corona is lifted and the lockdown period is entirely lifted. So this opportunity, I would, since I'm using this opportunity, since I'm meeting this chamber friends, many of these in Cochin also, there are also they find out, as the old saying is, when there is a low tide, the rock appears. When our business is booming, we feel that everything is going good. But when there is a crisis and when we feel that the revenue is not coming as expected, we find that there are system. So I'm happy that the chamber is organizing such webinars where I'm sure such matters will be discussed for the benefit of all the members. With this introduction, the CM Mohan has given the topic to us on TCS. TCS, as the name suggests, is tax collected at source. Contrary to tax deducted at source, when from our expenditure, tax is deducted. Meaning when we pay our expenditure like interest, rent, we deduct tax. So TDS is on the expenditure, whereas TCS is on the income side. Meaning from our income side, we have to have certain collections, which is called the TCS. So this is introduced with effect from 1st of October 2020. That means from the last month it has come. But we professionals also thought that's a very simple subject, and why we have to deduct the tax collection has to happen on the sales or whatever amount that is mentioned. But practically, when after 1 month or so, when we get the queries from our clients, we find that this is not as simple. There are so many procedural aspects. So no wonder Malabar Chamber has thought that this is a topic which has to be discussed. And I am happy that the organizers chose this subject and gave us this. Sanel, I am helped by my partner Sanel, who is there in Calicut. So we thought we will cover like this, TCS and TDS related provisions. Essentially, it will be in TCS, but few items on TCS we will cover how it comes. And TDS on cash withdrawal. That also is very relevant. We have to be very clear if we are in a business where we are likely to withdraw cash in a year, we have to be very clear about what is the provision of section 194N. The rest probably, if time permits, we will cover, but we will cover these three now. Okay, please, Mr. Sanil. Yeah, TCS, please proceed. See, when we tried to prepare this presentation, we found this. See, the finance bill, when this was introduced, they have mentioned what is the intention. The intention behind the introduction of TCS is explained. See, if you look at the perspective of the India's tax net, CBDT, Central Board of Direct Tax, has disclosed their results relating to the assessment year, that is year ended 31/3/18. The total income tax returns filed is only 5.89 crores. India has a population of more than 136 crores. That is individuals. If you take other organizations, entities like partnership firms, companies, etc., the total number of assessees could be around 200 crores. But the total number of returns filed is only 5.87 crores. Out of this, returns filed with no income, that is nil income, is 2.37 crores. And the total 100 taxpayers will give 21% of the entire revenue will be given by the 100 top taxpayers like ONGC, Reliance, SBI, etc. will come under this 100 top taxpayers. They are contributing 21% of the top line. So that means again the 80-20 principle. So the balance 80% is covered by all the other than this 100 is covered by this. Assessees under compliance of existing TDS and TCS will come. These 18 lakh taxpayers already are filing under TDS and TCS. They have already taken TAN and they have already covered under 18. These 18 lakhs assessees are covered already there. And the assessees with estimated turnover of 10 crores, that is what is prescribed now under TCS, is the people who are having turnover of more than 10 crores. There are only 3 lakh assessees in India who are having turnover of more than 10 crores. And see, amazing. See, how is it possible? There are only, out of these people of around 200 crores assessees, only 3 lakh are having turnover of more than 10 crores. So this highlights the importance of bringing more people into the tax revenue. The TDS and TDS, along with the advance tax, ensures steady flow of direct tax revenue to the government. That is only an incidental, but the main objective is to bring more people into the tax net. While discussing about this, we have structured this under this: understanding the law, assessing the liability, discharging the liability, and the reporting requirements through returns and other forms. We have structured our presentation under TCS under these 4. Sanand, please. As I mentioned, the applicability of this provision is from 1/10/2020. It applies to sellers having sales turnover or gross receipts during the immediate preceding financial year of more than 10 crores. Meaning, those who are having turnover or gross receipts more than 10 crores in the financial year 1920 is only required. They are only required to comply with this provision from 110. The benchmark is with reference to the previous year. Even if your turnover for the current year has exceeded 10 crores, you are not required to comply with TCS if your turnover for 1920 is less than 10 crore. So maybe a big business which has started in the last month, say in March 2020, and there, because in that financial year, though there is only 1 month, the turnover will be less than 10 crores. And in this financial year, even if the turnover is more than 10 crores, the assessee is not required to comply with this TCS provision. Of course, from 21-22 financial year, he will be required. Turnover to be construed as per definition of GST law, since turnover is not defined under the Income Tax Act. The Constitution has defined goods to include. Goods includes, that's an inclusive definition. But if you look at the Sale of Goods Act, it says goods means every kind of movable goods, meaning immovable goods are not covered in this turnover. So the assessees who are in the business of real estate will not come under this, because immovable property is not coming under the definition of goods as per our Sale of Goods Act. Income Tax Act has not defined turnover, that is goods. So we have to take the definition either from the Constitution or from the Sale of Goods Act or from the GST Act. GST Act and Sale of Goods Act, it is almost same. The definition is almost same. They say all movable goods are, all movable items are goods, and they have excluded certain actionable claims, securities, etc. We'll discuss later. No guidance on whether GST is to be included or whether capital goods were taken in the 10 crore limit or not. The intention we had, if you look at this 44AB, tax audit is whether the assessee is required to comply with the tax audit under 44A of the Income Tax Act. There also the word used is total turnover or gross receipts. And the institute has said that while computing that turnover, GST need not be included. So if you take the analogy of the explanation given under that and extrapolate to this provision, we feel that we don't have to have this definition relating to GST need not be included. Turnover includes sale of goods, sale of services, and other business income. It includes export turnover. So export turnover is also included under this turnover of goods. Applicable transactions means, so it receives any amount as consideration for any sale of goods exceeding 50 lakhs in a year. So the first requirement is for the previous year, there must be a turnover of 10 crores. Then there must be a sale exceeding 50 lakhs in the financial year 2021 to a person, not to all person, to one person. If there is a turnover happening of more than 50 lakhs, then from such buyer, we have to collect TCS. That collection is on receipt basis and not on due basis. We'll explain that little later. The collection of tax, the rate of collection is only 0.1% of sale exceeding 50 lakhs. So suppose the threshold limit comes to 55 lakhs, we need to apply this percentage only on the turnover above 50 lakhs. That means in the example that we discussed, only on 5 lakhs, not on the 55 lakhs. It applies only on the turnover exceeding 50 lakhs to that buyer. And if the buyer is not giving permanent account number, PAN card or Aadhaar, then instead of 0.1%, it has to be increased to 1%. But being a corona here, the government has reduced so that to have more cash flow, the reduced tax collection has gone from 0.1% has been reduced to 0.075% for this first 6 months. From the 1/4/21, the rate will go back to this 0.1% or 1% as the case may be. For the first period, it is only like this. Now we'll come to the certain definitions. As I mentioned, we have to take definition from Sale of Goods Act or CGST Act. While the Act specifically says that exports are exempt, meaning if you are making an export to somebody, the buyer is outside India, we don't have to do this TCS. Sales to outside India is exempt. But if you are making a deemed export to a person in India under an SEZ, export processing zone, under all the relevant provision, it is treated as a deemed export. But such a deemed export is not an actual export. So the sales to SEZ are covered. They are not exempted. Similarly, if you are having a high sea sale, meaning the goods are not entering the Indian borders, when the goods are outside the Indian boundaries, the sale is happening. Such a sale is called high sea sales. When such a high sea sale is happening, it is not an export. To be an export, it has to comply with the provisions relating to Customs Act. There must be a physical movement of goods from outside India. Since high sea sale is not an export, then such a sale is not exempt out of this TCS. So if they are applying this these high sea sales are happening, these provisions relating to TCS will have to be done. As friends, as we are discussing, this is relating to your income side, not your expenditure side. So this is relating to the sales that is happening. goods liable to deduction of tax at source. This is relating to goods. So we chartered accountants like Mr. Mohan, we are providing services. When we provide services, we are not covered under this requirement, because what we are giving is not goods. What we are giving is only a service. So this provision is not applicable to us. No matter that no client will give us more than 50 lakh, that is a different matter. But even if we are fortunate to get more than 50 lakhs from a client, that client will not come. We are not covered under this because it applies only to goods. While having said that, there are certain transactions which are under works contract or composite supply where goods or supply, we don't know what it is. In such a situation, how it has to be done is based on the HSN code that we'll explain later. If liable to TCS under any other section, then TCS need not be done. Meaning, if I am buying a car more than 10 lakhs, then TDS provision is applicable. So then this provision relating to TCS under this provision will not, 206C1H will not come. TCS will come under the motor vehicle purchase, but this item will not come under this. We need not apply 206C within bracket 1H. This particular section which you are covering is under 1H, H for hat. But suppose, for example, we are a firm called Verma & Verma. We have got 9 offices. Suppose we are buying, say, Maruti cars from different branches of, say, Indus Motors. Each branch is selling to our respective branches. Then a car's worth less than 10 lakhs. So it is not covered under a provision relating to TCS. Since the value of the car is not more than 10 lakhs, there is no requirement to collect tax on the sale of motor car under that particular provision of section 206C. But if each office is buying separate cars, and the aggregate value of each of all these sales put together exceeds 50 lakhs, then I would have purchased from Cochin, my Trivandrum partner would have purchased from Trivandrum, Trichy partner would have purchased from Trichy, Calicut from Calicut, Kannur from Calicut, Chennai from Chennai. But then, since it is based on an SSC, then Indus Motor will have to aggregate all put together and see all sales of such cars less than 10 lakhs to Verma & Verma, whether it is more than 50 lakhs. If it is there, then on the value exceeding 50 lakhs, TCS will have to be applied. So when an SSC is having different branches, it has to make sure that they have a record to show that each branch is not selling to a customer which other branch may also be selling. So there has to be a uniformed accounting code should be there for a client code. And we have to track the sales made to the customer. And if it exceeds that threshold limit, tax has to be deducted. Importers of goods, buyers of service, etc. are excluded. Immovable property I mentioned. Other persons as notified. CBDT has taken the power to exempt certain types of sale of goods on which this provision will not be applicable. So far, nothing has been prescribed, but they have taken the power, so we can expect some notification and certain relaxations. Applicable to a buyer on PAN basis and not GSTN, which I briefly mentioned. It applies to B2B and B2C transactions. Even if I am buying a material for construction of my house, and if the value of the purchase is exceeding 50 lakhs, then TCS will have to be applied. Even though I am not a dealer of building construction materials, the building construction material which I have purchased, I have been used for construction of my house, still the TCS provision will be applicable. Point of collection is receipt. I will spend 1 minute on this. Most of the clients will be maintaining the accounts on accrual basis. So meaning when we make a sale by way of a sale invoice, we'll be raising the sale invoice. But this provision relating to collection of TCS is on receipt basis. Only when the buyer pays the money, the seller is required to remit the tax. So here the requirement is to maintain an account of receipt basis and then collect tax based on such threshold limit. And we will, with certain examples, we will deal with that. So naturally, we will have a doubt because our 26 AS may not tally. Suppose I have given an advance to somebody and the purchases are happening in the next year, subsequent year. So since it is based on a receipt, the TCS will happen in the first year, whereas the purchase will come in the second year. Then the doubt can come whether the assessing officer will look into and try to match whether the TCS under 206C1H tallies with my purchases. So to cover that doubt, a rule has been prescribed where under 37I2A it says TCS to be given credit in the year in which TCS is collected. That's all. When the purchases is accounted, that need not be seen. The TCS will be given 26 as credit will come in the year in which the tax is collected. So the matching headache has been removed by way of this rule. The seller who is remitting, who has collected the TCS, has to remit that within 7 days from the end of the month. That is, for the first 7 days of the next month, it has to be paid. If there is a delay, 1 person per month or part thereof. So if you are, instead of paying on the 7th day, if you are paying only on the 8th day, you have to pay 1%. You cannot pay interest for 1 day delay. No, there is no 1 day delay. The delay is for a month. So you have to pay 1% even if the delay is only for a day. So make sure that that applies to even TCS, TDS, advance tax, etc. So the tax payment has to be made on due dates. Once TCS is done, there has to be a quarterly filing on 27 EQ, and we have to file 27D form has to be given. That is TDS certificate, like we know 16A, 16A, 16 and 16A for TDS and for salary, etc. The form that is prescribed is 27D that has to be given to the buyer. A late fee for filing is rupees 200 per day. If the TCS on value of receipt is on value and hence include GST component. We have discussed that while computing the 10 crore limit, GST need not be included. However, when computing the 50 lakhs limit of a buyer, in that case, we have to include GST also. This is contrary to the CBDT circular because earlier there was a provision under service tax. Suppose Verma and Verma, we are raising a bill on a client for say 1 lakh and we raise service tax. At that time, it was 16%. So suppose 1 lakh plus 16,000 rupees and 1 lakh 16 bill we have raised on a client under 194J professional charges. The board had clarified that TDS need to be deducted from the payment made to Verma and Verma only on 1 lakh and not on 16,000. They said that it is payment to government. Service tax is a payment to government. It is not payment to Verma and Verma. So what is paid to Verma and Verma is only 1 lakh. So you deduct TDS only on 1 lakh. Whereas while coming to this TCS, they say that it has to be deducted on the total component, including GST. This has to be done. So there is a contradiction. There is a Rajasthan urban infrastructure, Rajasthan High Court decision is there that on service tax, TDS need not be collected. So board circular, which I discussed earlier, is based on that Rajasthan High Court decision. Whereas while coming under this TCS, the board has taken the view that it has to be on the aggregate turnover. Sanal, please. Sanal, we are given time for 1 hour. So we have to close at 5:28 because we started at 4:28. So we have to give some time for question Q&A also. So members, if you have got any doubts or if I am being fast, you can please put it in the chat box. I will clarify that once again. And if you can raise also after this, if time permits, we can do an interactive session. If you want to ask us personally, or if you can post it in the chat box also, it will be helpful. There are certain practical issues. Turnover, see, please consider, see, I have taken certain practical examples. Suppose in 1920, the turnover is only 10.5 crores and there is a receivable of 1.5 crores, meaning last year cash collection is only 9 crore. But whether TCS is, because TCS is applicable on if the turnover is more than 10 crores, and I mentioned it is on cash basis. But to reckon the liability to come under TCS, it has to be on the mercantile basis. TCS is applicable for 2021 if the assessee is following mercantile system. If the assessee is following cash system of accounting, then I feel, because board has not clarified, I would feel that if the assessee is following a cash system of accounting, his turnover would have been only 9 crores. So in that case, turnover, he will not be covered under a TCS. But if he is following a mercantile system, then he will be liable for TCS. TCS is applicable on the amount of sale consideration beyond 50 lakhs from a buyer during a financial year. So beyond, see, suppose I mentioned, suppose the sale is 55 lakhs, then the TCS is applicable only on the 5 lakhs and not on the first sale of 50 lakhs. This is contrary to provisions under TDS. Suppose the TDS, as you will know, TDS provision, the threshold limit is now 1 lakh. So suppose, and for each payment, 30,000 rupees. So first I make the first 30,000, no TDS. I make the second payment, 30,000, no TDS. I make the third payment of TDS, 30,000, no TDS. But the moment I make the fourth payment of 30,000, it becomes 1,20,000. So on the 1,20,000, tax has to be deducted and not on 20,000. So we have to apply that 194C provision on the entire 1,20,000 the moment it exceeds 1 lakh. Whereas if we read TCS, it says that I sold goods to a buyer up to 50 lakhs, no problem. I make the subsequent sale of another 5 lakhs, then TCS is to be applied only on the subsequent 5 lakhs and not on 55 lakhs. Friends, I hope I am clear. If you have got any doubt, we can discuss little later. Turnover as a P&L includes exempt income. See, that means it says that it's a turnover. There, while computing the turnover, we cannot look at whether it is a taxable turnover or a non-taxable turnover. Suppose I am in the business of export, that has to be taken. I would have got certain benefits, incentives I would have got, that has to be taken. All these things have to be aggregated, and then this 10 crore limit has to be ascertained, because that is total turnover or gross receipts. That is the word I have used. And it has nothing to do with the taxability or otherwise of the amount included under turnover. Sanal, please. The Central Board of Direct Taxes has issued a circular 17/2020 on 29 September 2020, and also a press release has been issued on 39. We have taken certain items from that. So members, if you have got certain doubts, these are the 2 highlights. You can discuss with your concerned chartered accountant and get more clarity on that. But I would feel that with the intention of clarifying provisions they have included, but it is not exhaustive. I'm sure they have to include, they have to issue with further clarification. All the issues which my clients are asking are not covered in the CBDT circular and the press note. Exception from TCS for transaction in securities and commodities, meaning securities and commodities are exempt if it is through recognized stock exchange. or transactions in electricity, energy certificates traded to power exchanges. These are specifically exempted by way of this board circular. Electricity is a goods, and electricity will come under the definition of goods. So if the clarification is not there, then electricity board will have to collect TCS from us, from an industrial customer, if the turnover, if their billing is more than 50 lakhs. So that is why they have excluded electricity. And it says that securities or commodities through recognized stock exchange, meaning on which securities transaction tax has been paid. So it leads to corollary that unlisted shares, suppose a private limited company shares are sold, then it will come under the definition of goods and TCS will be applicable. We cannot say a company selling its investments in a private limited company or in a subsidiary company. Many things it happen, mergers and acquisitions are happening during this COVID time. Many mergers, many business reorganizations are happening. Suppose A Limited has a subsidiary, 100% owned subsidiary, and that 100% owned subsidiary shares are being sold to somebody else. If the value of the transaction is more than 50 lakhs, it comes under the definition of TCS. And the purview of TCS and tax will have to be collected. There is no requirement to collect TCS on any sale consideration received before 1/10/2020. So the provision is applicable only from 1/10/2020. We don't have to go prior to a period prior to 1/10/2020. TCS is applicable on receipt of advance also if received after 1/10/2020. So since this is on cash system, so if an assessee is getting advance for sales, the moment advance is received, the tax will have to be collected at source. TCS is applicable on receipt after, even if the sale is carried out before 39. So if the sale happened prior, receipt subsequent, TCS will come. Or if in this financial year, advance is received and sale is happening in the next financial year, again TCS will apply. For financial year 2021, the threshold receipt of 20 lakhs to be computed from 1/4/20. So not from 1/10. The threshold limit of 50 lakh, though I have mentioned that is applicable only from 1/10/2020, to compute the threshold limit of 50 lakhs, the turnover, the sales made to that particular buyer will have to be reckoned from 1/4/2020. And the moment it exceeds 50 lakhs, up to 50 lakh, it is not there. 50 lakhs and 1 rupee, it will come. On that 1 rupee, it will come. No adjustment for sales returns or discounts or indirect taxes, including GST, is required since the collection is made with reference to receipt. This CBDT has clarified. So this year I have made a sale and I got the money. But next year the sale return is happening. What to do? Nothing has to be done. You cannot refund the TCS. Whatever has been remitted is remitted. You cannot get that money back. Next one, please, Sanil. Sanil, next one, please. TCS collected on receipt of advance, sale do not materialize, CBDT clarified, no adjustment. Book adjustment after filing return, no adjustment, because a book adjustment is happening between, we are not, I am buying from somebody a material and I am also selling material to somebody. So actual cash transaction is not happening. There is only a book entry between the buyer and the seller. There they say it is, no, there is no impact. Effect of debit note and credit note. Trigger point is a receipt of consideration and is applicable on the gross amount of consideration, whether including debit note or credit note. The trigger point is a receipt of consideration and is applicable on the gross amount of consideration. Whether TCS to be printed on the invoice, the CBDT has clarified. There is no requirement to mention TCS in the invoice, but if an assessee is doing it, no problem. For their practical convenience, if they want to include it, they say there is no problem, but there is no statutory requirement to include TCS also in the invoice and then collect it. Whether this TCS is applicable after 1/10/2020 on realization relating to sales of 1920, yes, if other conditions are satisfied. To adjust TCS when part payment is received. See, this is one question. How to adjust? See, suppose I have made a sale of say 60 lakhs and so I have to collect TCS whenever he is making a payment of consideration more than 50 lakhs. Suppose he is making a payment of say, I have made a sale of 60 lakhs and he is selling to me, he is giving a consideration of 51 lakhs. So whether I have to collect TCS on over and above this 51 lakhs, or can I include, conclude that this 51 lakhs includes TCS also and compute like this, that is 0.075 divided by 100.075 into 51 lakh and arrive at the TCS and remit it. That I think is a practical way of doing it. We cannot take that, that 51 lakh, that person has to pay TCS again because he has paid a part payment of 51 lakhs. So from the 51 lakhs, we have to apply this formula and arrive what is the amount of TCS embedded in that 51 lakhs. That has to be remitted and balance only can be given credit against the buyer. The rest amount we have to collect it from the buyer. So we cannot, that is a requirement under the statute. It more or less similar to GST. Suppose we collect inclusive of GST, we compute the same formula. Similarly under TCS also. Next one, Sanil. Whether TCS applicable on exchange of gold, old gold by customers for sale of new gold if both values exceed 50 lakhs. They have clarified that no, it is not, because if the customer is not engaged in the business, I will be selling to a gold merchant. So I am the seller. And I am not a dealer in gold. I am an individual. I am not a dealer. So my turnover is not more than 10 crores. What I have, so when I sell to a gold merchant, this is not applicable. If the customer is engaged in the business and satisfy the 10 crore, then TCS would be applicable. If old gold is given by me and I buy new gold, then in that situation, the gold merchant may be giving me either cash or new gold. But since I am the seller of old gold and my turnover is not more than 10 crore, this provision is not applicable. HSN SAC code is relevant to understand whether what I have sold is goods or services. The moment I find HSN, meaning I have sold goods, that is what the relevant which I mentioned earlier. If it is a composite contract, I am mentioning only HSN, then I am selling goods. If I mention, and TCS will be applicable. If the applicable code is SAC, then what I have supplied is only services. So TCS will not come, even if that transaction includes an element of transfer of goods. What is transferred is services, not goods. So TCS will not come. Whether advance received up to prior time sale affected, that I have mentioned. Whether TCS applicable on a branch transfer, no. TCS is not applicable on a branch transfer. Can a buyer apply certificate for lower deduction of tax as permitted under TDS? No. Here there is no requirement under TDS, unlike under 197, etc., provides for getting a no objection 15G, 15H, or we can approach assessing officer and get a TDS certificate, a nil certificate, or reduced rate certificate from the assessing officer. Such provisions are not there under section 206C 1H. Even under other provisions of 206, there is a provision like tendu leaves, scrap, etc. There are certain exemptions if we give certain forms. That provision is also not applicable under this particular section 206C 1H. Why? Because as we discussed earlier, the objective is to increase the tax base of our country. whether the seller shall be treated as an assessee in default if the buyer pays tax due in the income declared in the return income. Yes. So because when the seller is treated, an assessee will be treated as an assessee in default. If the buyer pays tax due on the income declared, and then what will happen is this certificate relating to the TDS certificate, CS certificate furnishing, etc., will not be applicable in treating this assessee as not in default, unlike in contrary into TDS. Because TDS, there is a provision under section 40A where we can get a certificate from the person to whom we have made the payment by saying that I have included in my income. So exemption from TDS may be given. So if that certificate is given by the chartered accountant of the recipient, then this the payer will not be treated as an assessee in default. Similar provision is not there. If the buyer, since I am a buyer, I have bought goods for say 60 lakhs and I have included in my return the entire purchases and I have paid tax. So can my chartered accountant give a certificate and say that assessee is not in default? No, it is not provided. We cannot give that. If there is any particular doubt regarding this, we will come to that on question answer. Inconsistency with other portions of TDS is there. TDS is on credit or payment, whichever is earlier. TCS is on sale of goods on receipt basis. Applicability or on individual, indivisible contract we have discussed. On part payment also we have discussed. TCS is applicable on fixed assets. Yes. Only immovable properties are outside. If I am selling a generator, it is a movable goods. If I am selling a car, yes, it will be applicable. What is exempt is only an immovable property. If I am selling my landed property, then only this is exempt, because under the constitution, immovable property is a state subject. So that is why GST, etc. have excluded goods other than immovable property, because they don't want, central is not taking the power to levy that. So if I am also selling an intangible asset, say goodwill, patent, copyright, etc. If I am transferring such right, that is also a goods. So that will also come under the purview of TCS. Electricity we have discussed. Next one slide, please. See, what we have advised our clients is to have a software update. So the software should track all this. Then only this manually to track all these intricacies will be very, very difficult. So reporting system to ensure discharging of TDS should be there on monthly basis, to ensure disclosures of all the particulars relating quarterly basis, reconciliation, not only from our sales point of view. Suppose we have purchased from somebody more than 50 lakhs, TCS will be happening from on the other side also. So there will be one side TCS on our purchases and there will be TCS on our sales. On both sides, TCS will be there. So there has to be a mechanism to check all these things. So a computerized system or adapting or changing our computer system to track all these things would be the most thing. Establish timely effective channel of communication among that will be gone. Next one slide, please. Yeah, please, Sanel, please. Yeah, see what we thought was, I will request my partner Sanel to take us through certain, Sanel, in 15 minutes, you must take us through all these applicable provisions, and then you come or even 10 minutes you can complete all this, so that the rest 10 minutes we can include for others. Please, Sanel, you can please.
These are some illustrations on TCS applicability. So before I go into the illustration, there are three thumb rules basically for ensuring compliance of TCS. One is whether you are the applicable assessee. So as Satyan sir said, the applicable assessee is someone who has a turnover of more than 10 crores in the immediately preceding year. Then is there an applicable transaction? Applicable transaction is when you have a receipt of more than 50 lakhs during the year. And then what is the taxable event? Event is the receipt after 1/10/2020. So these three things have to be kept in mind when you look into each of these illustrations. Now, illustration number 1 that I have given is that turnover is 12 crores in 1920. Turnover in 2021 is 9 crores. And you have received after 1/10/20 60 lakhs. Whether TCS is applicable, It is applicable because you are an applicable assessee and you have the taxable event also. That is, your turnover in the immediately preceding year is more than 10 crores, that is 12 crores. And you have received more than 60 lakhs after 11020, that is 60 lakhs. So on 60 minus 50, that is 10 lakhs, you will be, or on 60 minus 50, that is 10 lakhs, you will be required to collect TCS. Now the next scenario is other side, that is turnover in 1920 is 9 crores and turnover in 2021 is 12 crores. And again, receipt for sale of goods from Mr. B after 11020 is 70 lakhs. So although you have receipt of more than 50 lakhs, since the relevant year for this particular assessment year is turnover in 1920, so that has not exceeded 10 crores limit. It is only 9 crores. So for this illustration, my answer would be no, because as Satyan sir said, the turnover has to be with reference to 1920 for this year, immediately preceding financial year. I'll quickly move on to the illustration number 3, where I have highlighted that is export turnover. Export turnover in 1920 is 12 crores. Turnover in 2021 is 9 crores. Receipt for sale of goods from Mr. C in India after 11020 is 60 lakhs. So for an applicable assessee, the turnover has to be construed as the whole turnover. As sir said, export turnover, your exempt income, all those types of income also has to be considered. But the taxable event is on local sale of goods. Export is not in the purview of TCS. So in this, since the assessee is an applicable assessee and the transaction is an applicable transaction, TCS will be applicable because 60 lakhs is the value. It is more than 50 lakhs. His turnover in 1920 is also more than 10 crores. It is 12 crores. So considering both of those conditions, TCS will be applicable in this scenario. In the illustration 4, I have said turnover from services in 2019-20 is 15 crores. Turnover in 2021 is 12 crores. And receipt for sale of goods from Mr. D after 11020 is 40 lakhs. So in this scenario, although it is turnover from service, he's an applicable assessee, no doubt. 15 crores, turnover from services also to be taken, no doubt. But the receipt for sale of goods is only 40 lakhs. So it is not covering the 50 lakhs limit. So there is no taxable event as such. So the TCS applicability is no for this illustration. Now, this is the TCS applicability scenarios. Now we'll quickly move to the TCS to be collected. On what value should you collect the TCS? Now, this is the first scenario. Again, I'm once again on the TCS collection will be on the 50 lakhs limit has to be taken from 1420. That's what the guidelines say. That from 1420, have you got receipt of more than 50 lakhs? That is the question number 1. And then if it is crossing 50 lakhs, for all the receipts after 110, you will be required to collect the TCS at 0.075%. That is the norm. Now, in this scenario, from 1420 to 3920, that is before TCS became applicable, the sales is 35 lakhs. The amount received is during that first half is 25 lakhs. Amount received in the second half is 10 lakhs. And then you have raised a lot of invoices, which has been subsequently realized, amounting to 30 lakhs. Now, what is the receipt on which TCS will be applicable? The receipt on which TCS will be applicable is you have to add up all the sale receipts, consideration receipts, that is 25 plus 10 plus 30, which will give you 65. And then on the amount exceeding 50 lakhs, that is on 15 lakhs, you will have to discharge your TCS liability. That's the illustration number 1. So if you look at it, actually that sales to Mr. A of 35 lakhs is not really relevant, because it's all about, once you identify a party as an applicable assessee, it's all about what has been received during the year. So if you look at this illustration, you will see that that 35 lakhs is nowhere coming in the picture. It is only 25 plus 10 plus 30, and then I'm setting it off against the 50 lakhs, and I'm saying that 15 lakhs is only the receipt on which TCS is applicable. Next condition, next illustration is again sale to Mr. B is 65 lakhs. Amount received in the first half 30. Amount received in the second half is 30. And in the second half I have raised invoices and collected 20 lakhs. What would be the amount on which TCS will be applicable? It will be 30 lakhs. Again, just like the above scenario, first scenario, 30 plus 30 plus 20 will give you 80 lakhs. You reduce 50 lakhs from that and you will get 30 lakhs.
No, Sanil, please, just explain once again, please. You
Yeah.
That illustration 2, please, once again.
Okay. Okay. So you have a sales of 65 lakhs in the first half. Now you have received 30 lakhs in the first half in cash, and then in second half you have realized 30 lakhs, and relating to sale of second half you have realized like another 20 lakhs. So during the year, if you see, you have a total realization of 80 lakhs, which means that has exceeded the 50 lakhs receipt that is given in the norm. Now, once it exceeds 50 lakhs, what is the amount exceeding 50 lakhs? That is, you have a total of 80. From that, you deduct 50, which means the TCS applicability will be on 30 lakhs. So you multiply 30 lakhs into 0.075%, and you will get your TCS liability. Is that clear, sir?
Yeah. Thank you. Proceed.
Now I'm coming to illustration number 3, where in the first half itself, I have received more than 50 lakhs. This is another scenario. In the earlier 2 scenarios, if you see, the first half collection was less than 50 lakhs. In this scenario, I'm having more than 50 lakhs collection in the first half itself, but TCS applicability was not there in the first half. So what is the amount to be computed? So I have received 55 lakhs in the first half. Then I have an amount received of 10 lakhs in the second half. And for second half sales, I have received 20 lakhs. So if you add up 55 plus 10 plus 20, you will get 85. But in the second half, you have only realized 30 lakhs. So although your turnover is more than 50 lakhs, or rather, I should not use the term turnover because it's receipt. Receipt is the word that is used by the department. So although I have received more than 50 lakhs, that is, I have received 85 lakhs, my receipt in the second half is only 30 lakhs. So it is like just like whichever is lower. So 85 minus 50 will give me 35 on one side, and 10 plus 20 will give me 30, whichever is lower, that is 30 lakhs. 30 lakhs will be the amount on which I'll be required to discharge my TCS liability. I hope that is clear. Next is another illustration where if you recall, sir said that even on the sales relating to 2019-20, if you are receiving amounts during this period, you will be required to consider that in your 50 lakhs threshold and compute your TCS liability. So in this scenario, from Mr. D, you have a receivable of 27 lakhs as on 1/4/20. Subsequently, in the first half, you have made sales of 45 lakhs. As I said, sales is no longer relevant. Receipt from Mr. D in the first half is 56 lakhs. And receipt from Mr. D after 110 is 16 lakhs. So you have made you have got a total receipt of 72 lakhs during the year, 56 plus 16, 72 lakhs. But your receipt after 110 is only 16 lakhs. So as I said earlier, 72 minus 50 is 22 lakhs. That you'll keep in one side. And you'll consider, or you'll match it with what is the receipt after 110. That is 16 lakhs. Whichever is lower, which is 16 lakhs, will be your amount on which TCS will be applicable. I hope that is also clear. Now we have a TCS applicability chart.
Sanil, can you please go back to the previous slide?
Yeah.
See, a question can come. See, if you we are on the illustration 4. In the illustration 4, the balance receivable from D as on 1/4/20 is 27 lakhs. Sales to D is 45 lakhs. And from receipt from D is 56 lakhs. So as on 1/4/110/20, receipt is only 16 lakhs. So receipt from D till 39, 15 lakhs includes opening balance receipt. So whether we can say that 56 lakhs, I will exclude that opening balance. I will reduce that opening balance, and I will say that what is relatable to the sales from this year only I will reckon. So what Sanil was trying to say is we should not segregate. The objective of this section is to collect TCS on the receipt after 1/10/2020. That's it. What is the breakup? Is it related to the previous year sale? or is it current year sale? No. Any receipt which is happening after 1/10/2020, whether as advance or on actual sales which has happened, whether current year or even a bad debt recovered, that also will be liable for TCS. So this portion will have to be right.
Okay, so these are some practical scenarios for TCS applicability for various situations. So I've divided this turnover into two parts, that is first half and second half. That is, in the first scenario, I have a total sales of 50 lakhs, that is 30 in the first half, 20 in the second half. Nothing has been received from the opening balance. Now, receipt till 30th September is 30 lakhs. Receipt from 1st October to 31st March is 20 lakhs. So TCS, whether it is applicable, the remarks says itself that TCS is not applicable because 50 lakhs is not crossed in neither the receipt or nor the sales has crossed 50 lakhs. So no confusion, no TCS applicability. Now in the second scenario, 55 lakhs is the total sales, 55 lakhs is the total receipt. So on that, as we had earlier said, that the TCS applicability is only on the amount beyond 50 lakhs. So if you have received 55 lakhs, the TCS applicability will be on 5 lakhs. If you have received 75, 25. If you have received 1 crore, it will be 50 lakhs. So you have to reduce that 50 lakhs from the applicable amount of receipts. That is the second scenario. We have written that TCS is applicable on 5 lakhs. Third scenario is where you have a sale of 60 lakhs and then you have a receipt of 30 lakhs in the first half, 10 lakhs in the second half, and 20 lakhs in the next financial year. So this is one scenario where I keep repeating that we overlook the sales and we don't really look at the receipt part. So receipt is the trigger. We have, in multiple slides, we have said that receipt is the trigger. So if you see in this year, in 2021, the total receipt is only 30 plus 10, that is 40, which has not exceeded the 50 lakhs limit. So accordingly, although the sales is above 60 lakhs, since you have received less than 50 lakhs, the TCS applicability will not be there.
Sanal, you are not.
Sir? Sir?
The screen sharing is happening. I'm not getting that screen sharing.
Mohan sir, any confusion?
Yeah, it's there. Okay.
We are able to see it.
Okay.
We are getting, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Next is, I hope those three scenarios are clear now. The next scenario, fourth scenario, is where you have a total sales of 70. You have received 19 lakhs in the second half, that is after 1st October, and the remaining has been received in this next year, the next financial year. So in this year, you will not have any TCS liability because your total collection during the year is only 19 lakhs. But next year, since you have received 51 lakhs, there will be a TCS liability of 1 lakh. Fifth scenario, 40 lakhs is the sale during the year. 20 lakhs of receipt from opening balance. Say you had a receipt, you had a debtor balance of 20 lakhs in the opening. You have received that 20 lakhs after 1/10/2020. Then you have received 10 lakhs in the first half, 30 lakhs in the second half. Your collection for the entire period is 60 lakhs. So TCS applicability will be 60 minus 10, 60 minus 50 rather, 60 minus 50, and it will be computed as 10 lakhs. Sixth scenario, again 60 lakhs.
Yeah, Sanal, 1 second. See, this is a scenario where current year the sale is less than 50 lakhs. The sales to this person in the current year is less than 50 lakhs, but still the receipt is there, which is more than 50 lakhs. There is an applicability of the collections in exceeding 50 lakhs. So it is not necessary that we should have a sale in this year. What is relevant is only the collection in this year. Okay, sir.
Okay. Next is the sixth scenario where you have 60 lakhs of sales, but all those receipts were in the first half. So as I said earlier, the third rule that the taxable event should be after 1st October. That condition is not satisfied. So on no amount, TCS would be applicable. It will be 0. No TCS applicability. Next scenario is again turnover of 60 lakhs, 55 lakhs received before. From opening balance you have received before 110, 60 lakhs received in next year. So during the year, in the six months of second half, you have not received any amount, so no TCS there. In the next year, TCS will be applicable on 10 lakhs. That is 60 minus 50. That is 10 lakhs. Eighth and final scenario, you have only a turnover of 20 lakhs in the second half, and you have collected 60 lakhs, including an advance of 40 lakhs in second half. What will be the TCS applicability? So as sir said, advance or by any name what you call, even advance, you are supposed to meet your TCS liability. So 60 lakhs minus 50 lakhs, 10 lakhs will be the amount on which you will be required to collect TCS. So once again, I'm just briefing up on the basis of these illustrations that the P&L picture will be applicable only to find out whether you are a applicable assessee. That is the 10 crore limit will be applicable or rather it will be considered based on your turnover. That is your P&L picture. For all 50 lakhs regarding 50 lakhs the amount, for that the receipt will be considered. It is no longer accrual, it will be receipt. And again, the receipt only after 1st October will be considered for this year. So these three conditions has to be mutually satisfied for TCS applicability. Sir, you will continue, sir? Sir, you will continue? Or?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sanal. We'll just, while on TCS, we'll stop with this particular provision also. I'll take 2 minutes to stop this. See, in addition to this on sales, what is also a new provision has been introduced under 1G, where it says that if a person is making remittance outside India, which is under the liberal remittance scheme, LRS, exceeding 7 lakhs, up to 7 lakhs, no requirement. If a person is remitting for more than 7 lakhs, then the tax has to be collected at the rate of 5%. Normally it happens our children will be studying outside India, or for medical purpose some remittance will be made. Like that, all those things are coming under the liberalized remittance scheme. So if any payment is made outside India, and who is to deduct? Authorized dealer has to do it. Who is the authorized dealer? The bank. So if you're approaching the bank and say that, okay, my son is studying outside India, I have to remit him the school fees. The next installment is 10 lakhs. This is much is the money is to be paid. On that 10 lakhs, 5% TCS also I must pay to the bank. And the bank in turn will remit on my behalf in my TCS, in my 26IS. I will get credit in my return. Why then government is doing? Government wants to know that there is a person here who can afford remittance for under LRS, liberalized remittance scheme outside India. That is, LRS means it is a consumption remittance. So somebody who can remit outside India for consumption, 10 lakhs means he should have taxable income to that extent to afford that. So to understand that, they say you have to deduct tax like that and then collect tax like that and then pay. Similarly, every seller of an overseas tour package, I mean, overseas tour package means suppose I decide I go to Europe with my family and I book my own ticket, I book Airbnb, I book everything I do myself, then this is not applicable. But instead of that, if I go to Thomas Cook and say, okay, I want 10 days or 15 days Europe trip, then I am paying a tour operator. So Thomas Cook will have to deduct tax, collect tax again at the rate of 5% from the remittance that I'm making today. While on the first line, that education I mentioned, suppose we have taken loan from a bank and remitted, then instead of 5%, it is 0.5%. But still they want to know that, yes, I have taken a loan for my son's education. So government wants to keep a track of it. For that purpose, government has ensured that there is a TCS happening on that. At 522, These are all other provisions under TCS. There is no change on that. Sanil, all those rest, I don't think we have time to do that. These are all earlier TDS, remittance, etc. We thought if time permits, we can cover all these things. So, but anyway, we thought we can cover up to 2 hours. That is why the other slides are there. If we are only TCS, this provision will cover within 1 hour. And now at 5:22, I have handed back to the organizers. If there are any questions, we can take or we can. So I leave back to the President and Secretary to for. Sanil, can you please stop this screen sharing, please? Back to Mr. Mahbub or Mr. Ahmed.
Paul, any questions?
I don't see any. Anybody put anything in the chat box. Maybe we can unmute everybody and maybe take open questions from the group. The members have any?
Yeah.
Since I think Mr. Satyan has covered all the points and very well. I think everybody's clear.
Can I ask the question, Paul?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
President's privilege.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, sir, please can you explain the applicability of TCS when we sell apartments? Okay, being a real estate developer, what is the applicability of TCS when we sell apartments to our allottees?
Yeah, because real estate is an immoral property. It is outside the purview of TCS because they say it is not coming under the definition of goods. So it is not coming under the purview of TCS because what you are selling is an immoral property. So when you are selling an immoral property, these provisions will not come.
But TDS applies there, sir.
Sorry?
But TDS applies there for transactions above 50 for what you call value.
Yeah, that is applicable under 194I. There is a provision that if you are selling more than 50 lakhs,
yes.
The buyer will have to deduct tax from you and then pay. Okay. That applies because there the definition is not goods.
Yes.
Here the definition is goods. There the definition is if you are selling immoral property, you should do like this. Yes. So it clearly applies to immoral property. Whereas TCS is on goods. So the goods means immoral property is outside the purview of goods.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you.
I hope there are.
If anyone wants to put a question, please unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, Paul, one from my side. Sir, one doubt, sir. See, there will be TCS in all the purchases. We suggest our parties to reduce advance tax payable in December and March to avoid the block.
Yeah, but if our client is making purchases above 50 lakhs from one particular person,
yeah,
we can presume that on such purchases there will be TCS from the seller side. Our client is a buyer, isn't it? Our client is a buyer. Whatever TCS we are collecting from our buyer, from our seller, from the person to whom we have sold, is not coming as our TCS.
Okay.
Whatever is on our purchases only will come as our TCS.
That's what I'm telling.
That definitely we can. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can.
Because
it will.
Now in the Corona period, people are affected by all cash crunches. So we can't ask the clients to pay advance tax. At least that part is covered.
Yeah. We can do that. Yeah, yes, Mr. In the case of Mr. President, Mr. Ahmed, even though you are in the business of real estate, when you are purchasing materials, on that front, there will be TCS will be happening now. So as Mr. C.A. Mohan correctly said, there will be a cash flow problem which will be happening in your organization. So you can reduce your advance tax payment by factoring this TCS, which invariably will be happening from your buyer's perspective, from the person from whom you are buying goods. You'll be buying cement, you'll be buying steel. So they will be collecting TCS from you. So it will be a cash flow bring. So that you can factor while paying your December and March advance tax.
Sir, thank you, sir.
You had mentioned that, sir, on a lighter note, you had mentioned that people like you will soon be out of practice because things are changing. I think it is the other way around. Things are getting so complicated that people like you will have to remain in the system to guide and support people, the customers.
Thank you. Thank you for that assuring note.
Any more,
Okay,
questions?
thank you. I think.
Any more questions, please? Among our members? If not, I can request. I move to propose.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good afternoon, all. Anyway, it's a good, very good discussion happened today on TCS and other relevant provisions in the Income Tax Act. And presentation was very clear and easy to understand all of us about the new regulations which has come into the force already. On behalf of Malabar Chamber and on behalf of all present here, I thank CA Satyanarayanan for delivering these lectures. Thank you, sir. I thank CA Sanil S. Group also for his part of presentation and support for this program. Thank you, Mr. Sanil. Thank you, President Mr. Asif Ahmad, MDP Committee Chairman Manu, Convener Paul Varghese, other office bearers, past President Mohan, and all the attendees, members from Chamber of Commerce and officials from our member companies. Thank you all for attending this program. And we have another program on 20th. We will send the details immediately. It's about footwear industry. We have two eminent speakers. One is our own member, Mr. Vikasi Naushad, and other person is Managing Director and Country Head of Bata India, Rajiv Gopalakrishnan. Both are very eminent personalities in that field. And I request you to participate in that program also. Once again, thank you all. Thanks.
Mehboob, before concluding, can I request Satyanarayan sir to share the presentation to the members?
That's good.
Yeah. No, if anybody is wanting to have that presentation, because we have given some examples also.
Yeah.
If you can say Sanil, to whoever is asking that, you can please share that and then we'll give that. You can please do that. We will do that.
Okay, sir.
Because we have given some examples so that all sorts of permutation combination we have tried to cover that.
Okay.
And this,
Thank
this Zoom recording is already recorded, so we'll be sending the links also to all the members.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
By കയറിയിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലേ കയറിയിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലേ
Yeah, but
good. Okay, fantastic.
we had about 1336 viewers.
Okay.
പക്ഷേ ഇത് നമ്മള് recording we should I think we can stop the recording part of it. Can you stop the recording?